Good morning. Today we compare Mobx and Redux. Both libraries are used to manage state in React applications, but they have very different APIs and they use different approaches to do this. We're gonna build a menu for the fast food restaurant. Let's say you can order some drink and some burger. Press submit and an order will be added to the orders list. Let's add a bunch more. Cola and beef burger and lemon juice with vegan burger. And first, let's implement it using Mobx. I'm going to generate a new React application using create React app package. It will use TypeScript template and I'll call it react-redux MobX. Let's begin by creating a React part of our application and then we will add Mobx and then we write it to Redux. Go to the project folder and open the editor. And first, let's define the types for our application. Create a new file, src, types dts. We'll need only one type, export type product. It will hold our product data, drink or burger. It will need to have a field name, string, display name, string, and price, number. Now let's define an order form. Create a new file, order form, tsx, import React from React, export const order form, the functional component. It will get the drinks and burgers lists from the store. So for now we'll just hardcode them. Const drinks is a products array and by default it's an empty array. Same with burgers. Now let's define the layout. Return form, inside of it field set with legend make an order and two selects. Let's define a label, drink, HTML4, drink and select ID, drink, name, drink, and now we'll generate the options from the drinks array. Curly braces, drinks, map, drink. We return an option with value drink, display name, dash, $, drink, price. Option key should be drink name and option value should also be drink name. Let's copy it and define a label and select for burgers. Burger, update the HTML4, ID and name. We'll also rename the map. And now let's add a submit button. Button, submit. I'm gonna use React Hook Form to manage this form, so I'm gonna install it. Yarn add React Hook Form. After it's done, I import use form from React Hook Form. I get const register and handle submit from use form. Now I define my onSubmit function. Const onSubmit equals handle submit and I pass a callback that will receive the data. And for now we'll just log it. Define the onSubmit handler. OnSubmit equals onSubmit. Pass register as a ref to select, ref register, and to burger select as well, ref register. Let's hardcode some products. Name cola, display name cola, price 2, burgers name beef, beef burger, price 5. Now go to app.tsx, remove all this layout and render our order form. Launch the app. We have only one option for the drink and for the burger, but when we click submit, you should see the data in the console. So go back to the code and let's define orders list. New file, orders list.tsx, import React from React, export const orders list equals a component. For now we hardcode the orders. We will check if orders length is not truthy. So for example, if it's 0, then we return paragraph with text, no orders. Otherwise, we return a layout with table where we define a table header with table row inside. And we'll have 3 headers, drink, burger, and total price. Let's close this t-head. And now we can start connecting the Mobx. Install Mobx and Mobx React Lite. Then we need to define a store that will fetch our products. Create a new file, product store.ts. Export class product store. Here we'll have an observable list of drinks, product array, and by default it will be an empty array. Import observable from Mobx and import products from types. Define another observable for burgers. And now let's define an action that will fetch products for us. Fetch products. It's an arrow function. It can actually be async because we're gonna perform the fetch there. Here we'll get the drinks, const drinks equals await get drinks. We'll define this function in the API module later. Now we can do the same for burgers, get burgers. And now we'll need to call run in action, pass a callback there, and set this drinks equals drinks, this burgers equals burgers. We can also have another observable for the loading state. Observable is loading boolean true. Then we also set this is loading equals false. Now let's define get drinks and get burgers functions. Create a new file, api.ts, and define a function export const get drinks. I don't want to actually create a server for this project, so I will just return an async function that will return an array of products. Let's say that it's a promise of an array of products. Now I define the name, cola, display name, cola, price 2, and 2 other drinks, water and lemon juice. Display name water, price 1, display name lemon juice, price also 2. Now let's define the same for burgers. Get burgers, and our burgers will be beef, chicken and vegan. Display name beef burger, chicken burger and vegan burger. Price 5, 4 and 4. Let's go to product store, import get drinks and get burgers. Now let's define our stores provider. New file, stores provider.tsx. Import React from React, import product store. From product store, create a new type for the stores context value. For now it's gonna hold product store of type product store. Define the stores context equals React create context of type stores context value, and we pass a default value as stores context value. Now we export and define stores provider is gonna be React functional component with props with children, and we pass an empty object here, and it equals a component that accepts children and returns stores context provider, renders children inside, accepts the value, and here we need to pass the product store. Let's define the product store constant. Const products store equals new product store. Format the document, and now let's define a helper hook to access our stores easily. Const export use stores is a function that returns React use context stores context. Now go to index.tsx and wrap our application into stores provider. After you do it, go to orders form, remove the hard-coded values. Now we need to get the product store. Products store equals use stores, and first we'll need to get the fetch products function. Const fetch products equals product store. Then we need to call this function in the use effect. Use effect, we pass a callback there, and we need it to run only once on component mount. Here we call fetch products. Now we need to use the use observer, return use observer. This hook from Mobx React Lite returns the layout, so remove all the layout that you have here and move it to use observer. Import the use observer from Mobx React Lite. Let's format the document, and now we also need to get the is loading drinks and burgers from the products store. If we're still loading, then we return a fragment with the text loading. If you open the browser, you should see that our form is loaded and we still have the form, and we can pick the drink and the burger. Go back to the code, define a new store, file orders store.ts. This store will be responsible for performing the orders. So let's export class orders store. Here we'll have an observable orders of type order array. By default it will be an empty array. Now we need to define the type order. It should have the field drink, product and burger, also product, and a field total price number. Now we need to add an action called add order. It's a function. It receives the drink name, string, burger name, also a string, and inside of it we'll need to create an order. To do this, we'll first need to get the drink and the burger by their names. So we'll need a reference to the products store. We will manually inject the product store, but we need to define a constructor where we can use a shorthand to say that we will have a private field called product store of type products store and curly braces. It will automatically add a private field product store and add it as a setter to our constructor. Now in our add order method, we can get drink equals this product store, drinks, find d, and we return d where name equals drink name. We do the same for the burger. Burger equals product store, burgers, find b, b name equals burger name. Now we can calculate the total price. Const total price equals drink price plus burger price. If we don't have the drink or we don't have the burger, so we didn't find them in the list of products, then we make an early return. Now we can remove the question marks, which would prevent the undefined doesn't have a field price error in runtime, but we don't need it here because we already check that both drink and burger exist before we calculate the total price here. And now we can create an order and push it to our orders list. These orders push a new object with the drink, burger and total price. Now we can go to our stores provider, create the orders store. new orders store, add it to our store's context value type, orders store of type orders store, and pass it to our context orders store. We also need to pass our product store as an argument to our order store, because order store depends on the product store to find the products. So we pass product store to our order store. Now go to orders list, and here instead of using the hard-coded orders, we will now get the orders store from use stores hook. We're going to return use observer, pass a callback to it, copy the layout and paste it into the use observer. Now we'll get the orders, const orders from orders store. If you want your components to update on store changes, then make sure to get those values inside of the use observer hook. Otherwise you will get the values only when component will mount and then they won't update. So make sure to put them inside of this use observer callback like I do here. Now I can also add a t-body with mapping over the orders. Map order. I'm also gonna map through the indices, and we return a tr table row where we render a table cell with order drink display name, ordered burger display name, and order total price. And we need to add a $sign here. Go to app.tsx, wrap your layout into a fragment, and add an order list. Format the document. Now let's go to orders form, and on submit we need to not only log the data, but we also need to get the order store here, and we need to call orders store add order, and we pass data drink and data burger to this function. Now if you go to the browser and you submit the order, you pick some other products like water and vegan burger, submit, you should see them being added to the table. And here you go, we're done with MobX. So in total it took us around 10 minutes or so to build the MobX version of this app. Now let's build the Redux version and see how long will it take us to do. Let's remove the MobX parts. So we need to remove product store, orders store, and stores provider. Delete. We also need to install Redux Toolkit, yarn add at redux.js toolkit. After it's done, we can define the store, new file, store.ts, export const store equals configure store, import configure store from redux.js toolkit, and we need to pass a reducer to it. Reducer is combine reducers, and we pass an object here. We will have two reducers, products reducer, it will manage our products, and orders reducer. Now I'm gonna create products and orders slices and get reducers from them. Let's begin with product slice, new file, products slice.ts, const slice equals create slice, and we pass a bunch of options here. Name, products, initial state should have a proper type, so we will define initial state as a constant. Const initial state of type drinks, products array, and burgers, also products array. And by default it will be an object with drinks, empty array, and burgers, also an empty array. We set it as initial state, and then we need to define the reducers. Redux Toolkit will automatically define the actions for our reducers here. So we need to define set drinks, gonna be a function that gets state and action of type payload action with a payload of type products array. Inside of this function we will set state drinks to action payload, import payload action, and now define another reducer, set burgers, and here we set burgers to payload action. Now we need to define a thunk to load those products. I'm a bit lazy, so I'm gonna do it in the same file. Const fetch drinks equals this thunk will receive as arguments. It needs to return a type thunk, up thunk. We'll define this type in a second, and it is an async function that gets dispatch, and inside of it it will get the drinks using the await get drinks from the API, and then it will dispatch a new action, set drinks with drinks. Let's create another thunk for burgers, fetch burgers, set burgers, rename the const, and now let's get the actions, const set drinks, set burgers equals slice actions. Export both thunks, export, and now we need to define the app thunk type. Go to store.ts and export type app thunk, thunk action, void root state unknown action of type string. We'll need to define the root state, and it's done like this, type root state equals products, return type of the products reducer, and orders, return type of orders reducer. Go back to the product slice and return the reducer from it. Export default slice reducer. Now inside of the store.ts we can import from the product slice its reducer, and we'll call it just products, and here we call products as well. Now let's define the orders reducer. Create another slice, new file, orders slice.ts, const slice equals create slice name orders. Let's define initial state for it, const initial state of type array of orders, and by default it will be an empty array. Problem here is that I've removed the order type, so let's define it again. Type order equals an object with a drink, product, burger, product, and total price number. Import the product from types. Now we can pass the initial state, and we can define the reducers. We'll have one reducer, add order. It will get the state and action of type payload action with the payload of type drink name, burger name. Both fields are strings. It's going to be a function where we will get our state and push a new order. But first we need to create this order. As you remember, in Mobx we just took products store and made it a dependency for the orders store. In Redux it's not really possible. So one of the common approaches is to just pass everything through the action. So let's remake the action type, and let's say it holds a payload of type order. So state push action payload. Now we could create this new order right inside of the component, but it's not really clean because component will know too much about our state. Another popular approach to do this is using thunks. So let's define a thunk, const submit order. It's going to be a function that receives drink name, string, and burger name, also a string. It returns an app thunk, which is a function that has a reference to dispatch, and get state. Now inside of this thunk we can get the state, const state equals get state. We can actually be more specific and get products. Now we can calculate the drink equals products drinks, find d where name equals drink name, and we can do the same with burger products burgers, the name equals burger name. Now we can calculate the total price equals drink price plus burger price. Here we also check that drink and burger exist, otherwise we just return. And then after we have all the values we can create a new order. Const order equals a new object with drink, burger, and total price. We can remove the optional chaining operators here, and now we can dispatch the add order method. Let's get it from the slice. Const add order equals slice actions. Now we dispatch add order with our order that we've just created. Export the thunk and export default slice reducer. Go to store.ts. Now we get the orders same way that we get products. Orders from order slice. And we can calculate the type of the orders. Type of orders. Now go to index.ts. Remove the stores provider and wrap our application into provider from react-redux. And actually I forgot to install it. Yarn add react-redux. We'll also need to add types for it. Yarn add types react-redux. After it's done, we can import the provider from react-redux, and we need to pass the store to it. Store equals store that we import from the store module. Now let's go to order form, remove the use stores. Now we'll need to get the dispatch equals use dispatch. Now we dispatch, submit order, data drink, data burger. We don't need to use the use observer anymore, so let's remove it. And also I forgot about the isLoading flag. Let's go to the product slice. Let's add another field, is loading boolean, and by default isLoading will be true. I actually made another mistake. The fetch drinks and fetch burgers should be one thunk. Fetch products, that should get drinks, get burgers, set drinks, set burgers, and also dispatch set is loading false. Let's add another reducer. Set is loading. Action should be of type boolean, and we set is loading to action payload, and we get it from our actions as well. Go back to order form and we call use selector that will get the state and return state products. In TypeScript you need to specify the type of the selectors. Root state, we forgot to export it from the store export type root state. Let's import it, and root state products as a return type. Now we also don't need the fetch products function, and instead of it we need to call dispatch fetch products. Remove the unnecessary imports, format the document. Now let's go to orders list, remove the use observer. We don't have the use stores anymore. Remove it from the imports and remove the use observer from the imports. Now we need to get the list of orders. Const orders equals use selector of type root state orders. It receives the state and returns state orders. Format the document, open the browser, and you should be able to make an order. Submit lemon juice, water and beef burger, cola and vegan burger. And we've solved the same problem using Mobx and Redux. Now you can compare them. Let me know in the comments what do you think about each of those solutions. Which one do you think is easier? Which one do you prefer? Which one do you use at work or maybe in your pet projects? Thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel, and also join my Discord server to pick the topics for the next videos. See you next time.